Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Being 7 p.m., I will call to order the Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Roll call is taken. There are 2 members absent. Item number 2 on the agenda is approval of minutes for the Plan Commission meeting for February 15th, 2024. We'll be looking for a motion on that.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mulkentine, second by Kripke. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 on the agenda is ordinance 24-03, amending the municipal code, section 48-142, pertaining to R6 residential zoning. You had staff memo and information in your packets. Would be looking for a motion on this item to open up any discussion.
I'll make the motion to recommend the village board approve ordinance 24-03 to repeal and recreate municipal code section.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Reich, second by Mulkentine. Any further discussion on this item? Any questions? All in favor by saying aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 on the agenda is Resolution 24-02, Comprehensive Map Amendment for parcels T7047700K and T7047700L for Robert Ledua. Again, this item was in your packet. And we'd be looking for a motion to open up any discussion on that item.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 24-02, amending the Village of Jackson Comprehensive Plan, Map 1, Future Land Use Plan 2050.
Second.
We have a motion by Ganshaw, a second by Kripke. Any questions, comments, concerns on this item? Any discussion? If none, all in favor by saying aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 on the agenda is concept plan for building addition at W223 N16601 Cedar Parkway, Winfield Development LLC, DBA Rytech Corporation. I do believe we have representatives from Rytech here this evening. And there was a staff memo on this item, and this is for discussion only. So, Colin, you want to just give a little background or anything?
Sure. This edition has kind of been in behind-the-scenes talks with myself and representatives from Rytech. This is essentially a materials handling edition, as is outlined in the staff memo. Primarily standard construction, ribbed steel exterior, with direct access to the building for the steel stock, basically, that will be stored in this vertical material handling system. Essentially, that's the gist of what they're requesting.
Thank you. I know one of the items that was brought up, and I remember it coming up in the past as an issue, and on that aerial picture that was included in the packet, there's still the storage of that outdoor storage on the parking lot for the materials. Was there a sunset date to that when we had approved that last time?
Well, it's kind of two-handed in a way. Prior to the Plan Commission and the Village Board receiving a request for additional exterior storage of shipping material, Rytech was already using their parking lot for storage of equal or similar materials. I could find nothing in the previous approvals dating back to the beginning of Rytech's existence in the village that outlined any type of outdoor storage of that type, or of any type for that matter. With the onset of COVID and the, access to those shipping materials, containers, however you want to label them, Rytech did request to extend, or use their front parking lot for additional storage. so they could add additional inventory and not disrupt their supply chain to their customers. That did have a sunset date. It was extended a little bit, but ultimately that storage use has ceased, and they've, I guess, reverted back to kind of their prior practice of keeping that storage in the south driveway parking lot area, if you will.
So do we have an issue with the storage the way it's being done?
Overall, for staff, I believe it to be an aesthetic issue. Certainly, you know, it's a high visibility, you know, area for the Village of Jackson. Certainly, we have the 300,000 square foot plus addition that was just put on Cisco. I don't want to call it an image issue necessarily, but it's certainly, I think, something that I think could be addressed, at least in part, on Rytech's, you know, request to expand their building now, knowing that, you know, staff does have concerns about it. And before it does essentially get out of control or we start to, you know, receive complaints, I feel as though now is a good time to address it. And I guess I would ask Rytech what potential internal discussions they've maybe had about it. They're certainly aware of our concerns and have been, even during the storage issue that came up during the pandemic. So there is a representative from Rytech here, and perhaps the commission would like to maybe hear again what maybe potential internal discussions they've had.
Would the rep from Rytech want to come up to the podium? Sure. That way you're on the microphone.
I'm Jeremy Becker, Rytech Corporation, manufacturing engineer. Rytech's growing. In the last 22 months, we invested heavily in Hartford, our second facility. And we understand the storage, but our business is growing, and we want to keep Jackson our headquarters. And we're open to suggestions on what we can do to please storage. We've talked about this in the past, whether it be fencing, but we have product coming every day. And that's kind of our subject today of addition is tube storage, so we can eliminate tubes outside, inside, facility to load and unload without having product outside. So we come today for one, the storage unit for our steel tubes, but we're also open to options we can have to make it aesthetic, because we have visualization too, people driving, because they see the Rytech signs. So any questions you have, suggestions you have, we talked about possibly putting a fence between Cisco and Rytech, because we have crates that come in every day. We ship products. You can see our parking lot's full, trucks are there. We saw a product that comes in that we have to load, unload. Adding on to the building would be a future. We're kind of limited, we're kind of landlocked, but we want to maximize what we can do in Jackson. And I'm not sure if a fence barrier would kind of help the situation. We're organized, so I mean, it's not a junkyard. And most of the product that comes in, actually, if you drive through, it may look like it's there, but it rotates every day.
So this is just a concept discussion at this point, correct?
Correct. Any approval would, in theory, be contingent upon addressing this exterior storage issue. Potentially.
Does,
As just a guide in these types of conversations, really important and meaningful takeaways for development applications include potential changes. It's certainly not something we want to construct binding sentences within, but positives or challenges you foresee being issues that the applicant could then maybe address and come forward as a, Colin, would this be a conditional use amendment in our situation for formal action to be taken in a second round?
I guess to add a little bit to what Jeremy is kind of saying, I don't know that it's the Plan Commission's place to make suggestions about how they handle their materials or how they store their materials. They know their business. I understand that there's a lot of product coming in every day, and that same product is getting used and getting replaced. I have mentioned, the possibility of using kind of the northwest corner of their property for some of this storage, although I'm going to imagine that they will say that it's probably not a convenient location for storage. They want an in and out, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, I think something needs to be done, whether it is a fence, whether it's some type of other screening, whether it's off-site storage, and whatever that may be. I don't know that it's the village's position to make those suggestions.
right,
It's RITEX and for the village to consider.
right. I guess at this point tonight, we're just looking for, if there's any objection to the addition part of it with the tower they're looking to build. I personally don't have any issue with that, but when they would come back with their final plan, would it be fair to say, hey, have some sort of a plan in place at that time that would address the outdoor storage needs?
This is an opportunity for feedback from the village, from the Plan Commission. So when they do come back with, their ultimate plan, then hopefully, these issues that are being discussed this evening are addressed at least in part, so.
Right. Anybody else have any input?
I don't think we have to stay away from input, because if we have something in mind that we just wouldn't accept, why would have them go down the road to develop something that we aren't gonna like? They're sitting high on a hill, so the height of whatever the screening would be kept shorter because of you looking up the hill. And I guess whether it's a permanent fence type screening or a natural screening of some trees or something, that's something I would look at.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the fact that you've got material coming in and it's not permanent, but the end state is always there.
It's always there,
It's
right?
always there in Mount Manus. So really then that would be, your back of house material or back of house, areas that you're trying to screen. If I assume then everything to the south is like your in and out bays, where the material goes in and out of.
Yeah, trucks exit from the northwest up through the cul-de-sac and come through to the east. And it's continuous rotation.
Right, and again, it's always gonna, whether it's the stuff that's been sitting
Yeah.
there for 60 days, 100 days, or 1 day, it always looks like it's there, been there forever. Right. So I think, it's a good opportunity for us to be able to. at least-
And what this storage is not, that's pretty much the pallets. Every door we sell goes in a crate. It's going to be shipped. This is to handle bringing in all of our steel tube manufacturing in-house that we outsourced. We invested heavily in our Hartford plant and automation, employees. We want to bring Jackson up. And with us to be able to do tubes, we have to store them. So this is kind of, I should say, new technology, but it's cutting edge. So it's load tubes from outside when a truck comes in, goes into storage up to a cassette. And from inside, we automatically are pulling bundles of tubes to our tube laser. So we understand the skids, and we can address that, but we're also looking ahead for how do we store tubes that are not outside. And within the square footage we have. There's always room to improve, and we're just looking at every way we can save square footage and not have stuff outside.
As far as the tube structure goes, you mentioned it was metal clad. The substructure is, I mean, is it a metal building or a metal frame building, or is it? Because some of the graphics look like it was wood construction, but
Yeah, the plans, I don't believe really specified.
it didn't say what it was, but I mean, it just had an X on it, like it was wood construction. It's kind of odd, but.
The addition?
It's a Keller structure, so I guess I would have to maybe assume that it would be.
So I guess is the consensus of the commission then that we're okay with the addition, but when they come back with their final plan, they have some sort of a remedy in place for the storage?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. You good with that?
We're good?
All right.
So what would you like for us to present coming back?
I would say. The feedback has been maybe come up with some solutions visually to screen.
And we investigated it, and it's not just the villager. We want it to look nice too. We're proud of the cars in our parking lot and our signs. That's our marketing. Drive through and they see it. Let's make it look professional. So we're not afraid to invest into that as well. And we're willing to work. So a few things, and maybe some guidance, is where our lot line is, how high we can get, if we did some type of fence, some type of outline. We're also concerned about snow. So between when they plow, where's snow gonna go? And I'm not sure if that's a visualization from the road, how far you can see where there's some openings. So we've investigated this. Not that we push it off, but we know that that's coming for us as well. So I will put together a package. And is that something that I would submit to you, and we would schedule again for that? Today I would like to know, as far as the addition, of what the village thoughts are, and with us moving forward. It's I'm concerned about the structure, I'm more concerned about the inside, which is an automated storage system. So it's custom, it's an investment. There's a lot of details with us as far as automation, but I kind of need to know direction, that if it's not, then we have to look at a plan B.
The information, so there's no action being taken tonight on this.
Okay.
This
Concept
is
plan.
just listed for discussion only.
Right.
So the consensus of the commission is that we're okay with the concept that you have for your
Okay.
addition. So when you would come back for your final approval, which, whenever you get your final stuff together.
Okay.
Then if you could come
Right.
back with,
Right.
that, and then have something in there, what you feel would be a good remedy for the storage items. And then we would act on it at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
One clarifying question is whether the applicant and or the plan commission feel like this is an item that should go to village board. Concept plans traditionally do not always need to do so, and I yield back to the plan commission and the applicant as to whether that's necessary.
I personally don't feel it needs to go to village board. Do you guys?
No.
Yeah, we're good.
One clarifying point I want to make, as my memory is coming back to me, it is a steel frame structure.
Yeah, it's a Walters building, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So that might be a little,
yeah.
yeah, and anything you do to make it harmonious, that look like it's blended in with your building versus, it's gonna be steel versus, masonry, so it's gonna be different.
Certainly, the steel cladding, is always a concern. It's, your standard kind of pole building cladding.
Yeah.
And it doesn't match the existing building, but not that it has to necessarily either. It's functionality over form. So,
Tall versus the height of the building, again, it's gonna be different. I think we can do to make it look like it was meant to be blended together, that's always a plus.
yes.
And height is okay?
Since it is a planned unit development, the height variance, if you will, would be part of that overall approval when the plan commission and then ultimately the village board were to approve it. And we've done so similarly with the Cisco building, so.
And just the reason I ask is the system we're looking at isn't just how high we can go, it's our volume. When our trucks come in, how much can load in Hartford, we run 210s, just capacity. So that all kind of dials into how high we can go. So we did extensive studies on frequency of truckloads, when we're going to fill stations, how fast can we consume it with product. So we went, the height that was proposed fits us well with the steel supplier. Not that we're oversized or we're undersized. And it's a custom unit, so the more feedback I can get of any changes needed is definitely going to help.
Colin, do you happen to know the height restriction in a normal M1, M2?
It would be the standard 35 feet.
Then I should have the plan commission understand that 41 feet would be in
41
excess
feet
of
is
our
over.
standard code allowance.
Yeah. And that's on the, yeah,
On the low end of the.
on the low end of it, yeah. So
That's
you're
why I
probably
believe in the memo I had referenced about 43 feet.
42, 43, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a unit, we'll have sprinklers, so we have to get above that. We have to have some type of pitch for drainage and snow load.
Then I will just advise, depending on how by the book this body wishes to operate, to exceed 35 feet would otherwise be advised to be a variance process.
So would that be part of the final approval when it comes back, or is that a separate process?
Variance process is independent of the plan commission or the village board. It's a quasi judicial decision or a legal opinion as to whether or not someone can vary from the existing zoning code. This use is in nature manufacturing. And so it'd be of interest or of importance to ask if that's something that RITEC would be willing and able to adhere to and not create basically a secondary and extensive process to go forward in that way.
So to be able to keep it at the 35 feet?
We'd like to amend that if we could.
Perhaps again worth mentioning that Cisco was also permitted to exceed the 35-foot mark without a variance as part of their PUD approval.
So ultimately, that would be the 44 or 45 feet or whatever it is would be in the final plans and stuff like that. And then we could approve it at that if we so choose.
I think that it's problematic to start doing it, quite candidly. I think you're talking about 300,000 square feet, a $20 million project. We're talking about a protruding sort of addition. Obviously, this is something that the Plan Commission needs to consider, and then I will obviously consult the village as to what technically we can or can't be doing. But ultimately, in this situation, this is a concept plan conversation. This is not an official application.
Right.
So this is the time to be getting to the bottom of what this body would like to see. And obviously, I can only advise as far as what legal recommends. But if we're going to be knowingly exceeding that situation, we can't be approving the addition without starting back over and addressing these zoning questions and the height specifically, which is more time. And I rest there.
Okay. Thoughts?
So it needs to be that high based on what you want to do inside there.
We'd go higher. I mean, if we could. But we came back and said, okay, reality is reality.
Okay.
So we went and investigated with our steel supplier what our consumption is on a hourly basis of what we can produce and how frequent they can deliver. And that's kind of where we kind of came to that happy medium of, and our product changes, so it isn't like we can forecast a week out. But in Hartford, we have deliveries every day of steel. And our tubes would be the same, so we can adjust what's coming in. It's enough storage that can feed 2 10-hour shifts in a day and adjust for tomorrow's delivery. So with that, we feel comfortable with there's 39 cassette, which is bundles, is enough to handle both shifts and plus some stock that we might have, but we're not overextending. Space-wise, without getting, larger, it seemed to be our best fit. That cannot just keep us now, but we can have expansion coming up. We have to build it, in a year from now, we have to put another tower up. But this is custom stuff. We're very aggressive, with production and keeping things going. So the sooner we can push what we can and can't do is going to help me tremendously. Instead of if there's information you need, height-wise, but the sooner I know is going to be better for me. I'm not pushing you. I'm just want to kind of know what direction we can go before we have to start planning Plan B.
So back to the plan and the discussion, the commission feels that we're okay with the project, but it should meet the current requirements. And if it doesn't meet the current requirements, RITEC should work with staff to work through that process, correct? So I guess that's where we would leave it tonight then, is that we're okay with the project, but currently our height restriction is the 35 feet. So, work with village staff to work through that
Okay,
height issue.
sure.
So we don't circumvent our process and start a precedent for future
Right,
projects.
right. And if you guys could turn your mics on down there when you're talking.
Sorry.
Yes, correct. Good with that? You're good?
Yep. I'm
All
good.
right.
Right,
Thank you. Item number 6 on the agenda is conditional use request for Camus Court Jackson LLC, N161W21875 Camus Court for Growth Design Group. We do have representatives from Growth here tonight, correct? And there was staff memo in the packet. And we would be looking for a motion to open up discussion. And there is a potential motion in the packet on the memo. I will make a motion to recommend the village board approve the conditional use permit for N171W21875 Camus Court. If approved, it shall be subject to the following conditions. Number 1, upon receipt of a written complaint and review by the Plan Commission, the conditional use approval may be subject to additional regulation and/or potential revocation by the village.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Heckendorf, second by Ganschow. Discussion. Any questions for growth or anybody? So just confirming about a 75,000 square foot facility?
Correct.
74,000?
74,000.
Okay.
I'd just make mention of the comments regarding landscaping that were provided by Engineer Kober.
Does that have to be added to the motion or no?
The commission could certainly request that the applicant come back with a different proposal regarding landscaping.
Okay. Would the commission like to see the landscaping according to the memo from the engineer?
Yeah, it's always nice to see it on paper before they start digging holes and putting stuff in,
Right,
and we don't like it.
right.
I think the point of reference that Engineer Kober was trying to make, that much like cities in the past in their urban forestry programs, they used to plant, Maple Street with all maples and Pine Street with all pines. And as we've seen through the years, there are certain diseases and issues that arise with the same variety of trees. So if I had to discern anything from the comment, that would be the reason.
Just a variety.
why, looking for a variety
Yeah.
of plantings.
Yeah. You guys have any issues with that? Okay. Any other discussion or questions on this item? All in favor by saying aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7 on the agenda are citizens or village staff to address the plan commission. Anybody have anything to say? If not, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion by Heckendorf, second by Kripke to adjourn. All in favor by saying aye? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.